Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's preview of the Michigan football game. I'm Pete Bigelow here with my colleague from AnnArbor.com, Mike Rothstein. Michigan enters the game with the 100th ranked defense in Division 1A. Their opponent, Bowling Green, comes in with the 111th ranked defense in Division 1A. Mike, do you foresee an offensive battle here this week?
I foresee being in my seat in Michigan Stadium for a long time. I would assume, and maybe this is a bad thing to assume, that Michigan's defense has played higher quality opponents than Bowling Green has. I'm actually positive of it. So I think that you might see a better Michigan defense on Saturday just for the lack of strength of opponent of Bowling Green. Bowling Green's going to be playing without their starting quarterback, who was a true freshman anyway, in Matt Shills, and they're going to be going with another guy who's not really all that experienced. They haven't even exactly said who that's going to be yet. So going into a stadium and an environment like Michigan Stadium, plus with what happened to Michigan last week against Massachusetts, I think they're going to come out with a more inspired effort. At least for their sake, I would hope so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think, not so much. I don't think Bowling Green impacts Michigan's defense as much as the fact that Michigan is coming off a tough performance against UMass, where the defense gave up 437 yards. I think the Wolverines should come into this game ready to fight for their defensive reputation, and I expect to see a different defense on the field this week.
Well, the other thing, too, and a lot of people don't realize this, is UMass is a better team than Bowling Green. That's what a lot of people don't realize. UMass has a better Sagarin rating than Bowling Green. They play in arguably a tougher conference than Bowling Green. And I actually think they beat Bowling Green maybe 6 or 7 out of 10 times. Again, that's just my opinion, but I think people maybe underestimate just because of that FCS versus FBS title. Once you get down to that MAC, Sun Belt level, it really is all the same.
I would agree with you that UMass is probably a better team than Bowling Green, but I think you may have just angered a lot of viewers by saying that the MAC is a worse conference than the CAA. Can you provide a few more details on that?
Yeah, they've beaten them when they play. When they get the opportunities to play them, they beat them. If you look at the list of times CAA has beaten the MAC, you see beaten FBS schools. You see Ball State on there a lot, and that's the thing is that if you just look at the level of talent, a lot of times the CAA gets high-level Division I transfers that don't want to sit out a year.
Mike showing his Virginia roots here, and
yes, I did spend some time in Virginia, but even you look at some of the other schools and you look at some of the other quarterbacks. Justin Riscotti, who led James Madison to a national championship, was a Louisville transfer. Joe Flacco, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, played at Delaware. So you look at it, and those are just quarterbacks.
No, I would agree with you that I think the FCS has produced a lot of top-flight talent in recent years. Last year alone, I think they had 16 players drafted in the NFL draft, which is probably at least comparable to the MAC. I would agree with you that.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers, but it might be more. Anyway, what do you think is going to happen Saturday, Pete?
Good question. Mike, I think Michigan's going to come into this game with a bit of a chip on its shoulder. The Wolverines are angry about the way they played last week against UMass. I think Michigan rolls pretty handily in this one, 38-21, let's say. How about you?
Well, Pete, I agree with you that Michigan is going to win this game. They're going to win the game handily, although I don't think your point spread is exactly rolling. I would say Michigan's going to really exploit Bowling Green's defense. I think they're going to pressure the Falcons' offense. And I actually think Brian Wright, the former Michigan kicker, who's now kicking for Bowling Green, who we haven't brought up yet, might actually miss a couple field goals because, well, every Michigan kicker lately has been missing a lot of field goals. That said, I think Michigan wins. I think they win big. I think they win 42-14.